It's dancing.
Is dancing like...
Holy shit.
It stopped.
Don't you know that you're a grown-up? No games, no punts. Not allowed if you're a grown-up.
Hi, welcome to GenXGrownUp. My name is Mo, and I'm a GenXGrownUp. This is the first of what I hope to be a series of videos I'm going to put together for movies you missed. I'm a big movie fan, and I've seen a lot of movies that maybe aren't necessarily mainstream, but I think have something about them that makes them worth watching. Some are just excellent movies that just didn't get much airtime, or some that are just maybe not as good, but at least interesting to watch and have some things about them that make them worthy. Today, the movie we're going to talk about is one that's called Colossal, which came out in 2016. Probably, I bet you, I've never heard of the movie until recently, but I'm sure probably many of you haven't. If you had, awesome. What attracted me to this movie right away was the fact that it was done by a director who's pretty phenomenal. His name is Nacho Vigalondo, who did another movie called Time Crimes, which I really, really liked. Matter of fact, we'll probably do a future episode, and I'd probably have to do that with my friend John, because both of us thought that was a pretty amazing movie. But I digress. This movie's called Colossal. As soon as I saw the cover, it had a giant monster on it. I knew I was sold. I was going to watch this movie. This probably goes back to my days as a kid. We used to have a thing in New York called the 4:30 movie. Basically was filler between like soap operas and game shows and then the news, the nightly news. Even though my father had a very, very strict no TV on school nights rule, there were a couple times when it was worth the risk to watch something. They would run these kind of week-long series of movies that were all pretty phenomenal. So you get things like Elvis Week or Planet of the Apes Week, or my favorite, of course, which was Monster Week. I loved those early movies, those early monster movies, the really cheesy Japanese ones. A big fan of like Godzilla, and Gamera, and Rodan, and Mothra, and all of them that would just be on one of those movies throughout the whole week. So I used to just, ever since then, I've just been a sucker for a movie with a giant monster on it. So the movie stars Anne Hathaway, who plays a character called Gloria, who is somebody who's kind of like down on their luck, not doing really good in life in general right now. Keeps talking like they're making changes, but not really making changes. I mean, it's fairly typical kind of story. She was in, great movies like Les Mis, which I actually have never seen, but she was in The Dark Knight Rises as Catwoman and did a phenomenal job as that, and I definitely saw that movie. And maybe she was in another movie called something like Princess Diaries or something. I don't know. It's a movie I never would admit to have seen. So she's somebody who's down on luck, and she winds up moving back to her hometown. So the movie also stars Jason Sudeikis, who plays Oscar, Gloria's childhood friend in her hometown that is still living there and owns a bar. I mentioned she has a bit of a drinking problem, so you can imagine how that goes. And I'm sure you guys know Jason Sudeikis. He's from things like We're the Millers, Horrible Bosses, and of course he did a long stint in Saturday Night Live. Very, very talented and funny guy. This role, not really so much for a humor role for him. It was a very actually pretty strange role, but it was actually, he did a bang-up job at it. So how can you talk about this movie without talking about the monster? The monster is definitely not like anything you've seen. It's not really a lizard. It's more of like a lizardish kind of person, giant thing terrorizing the Asian town. You think it's Tokyo, right? You'd be wrong. It's actually attacking Seoul, Korea. You see the monster pretty much right at the beginning of the movie, which of course got me very excited. This was another monster terrorizing thing, which it didn't really turn out to be, but still good. Through some very odd circumstances, she finds out that she's actually controlling this monster somehow. Not all the time, but she does. Eventually, she finds out there's a link between her and this monster.
It stopped.
So we get right down to it. What was this movie about? It actually was about somebody who needed to figure out how to take responsibility for their lives. Although this person had a little bit more on their plate than a standard person, like controlling a giant monster. Not really a typical movie. One of the things I really liked about it was, especially after a long period of sequels and superhero movies and everything else, which I love, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to see an original movie with original thought and original plot around it, or especially when they take something that's like a genre that everyone thinks they know, get your expectations on that, and then just totally changes it up and makes it into like a real story. For those reasons, I think this movie is worth watching. Is it a great movie? No. I guess. Probably. Is it a good movie? I thought it was a good movie. I didn't feel like I wasted any part of my life for watching it. I'm glad I saw it. So I would definitely recommend that this is one to see because it does have a giant monster in it. Not to be a spoiler, but there's even a giant monster fight in it. So I think it's worth watching. Remember to click subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss our next video. We want to know what you think. Leave your comments below. If you have any recommendations for movies that maybe you've seen that you know weren't very popular that you thought were really good, let me know. And I also like to know what you think of this movie if you get a chance to see it. If you can find this movie on Amazon, I believe, so we're going to hit and we'll probably throw a link on next to this video so you can find it easy. Click like, likes help us a lot, and share this with your friends wherever you hang out online. Thanks again for watching, and talk to you guys later.
Don't you know that you're a grown up? No games, no puns.